Welcome to this explainer. All right, I want you to picture something. A completely beautiful forest in the morning. You've got a deer drinking crystal clear water from a little stream, birds are chirping away in the branches, and these massive trees are just stretching their leaves right up toward the sunlight. Honestly, it seems incredibly peaceful, right? But beneath that calm surface, this forest is actually a battlefield. And today, we're going to uncover the hidden rules of this battlefield as we explore the wild world of competition in a biocenosis.
So, what actually happens when a forest simply runs out of food? Well, imagine you're at a party with 10 of your friends, and there is literally only one single slice of pizza left. You're all starving. What happens next? A race, right? A massive struggle to see who gets to eat. Well, nature is exactly like that party, but man, the stakes are way, way higher. When resources run low, organisms don't just get a little hungry, they literally have to compete to survive.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be hitting the struggle for resources, intra- and interspecific competition, forms of competition, adaptations and consequences, the competitive exclusion principle, and finally, balance in the ecosystem. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The struggle for resources. Basically, what goes down when there just isn't enough for everyone.
You know, we so often think of nature as this endless, magical grocery store, but the reality is exactly the opposite. Competition is the struggle between organisms for the exact same, limited resources that they need for life, growth, and reproduction. And the absolute crucial word here is limited. Think about it. If there was endless food, unlimited water, and infinite space, there'd be absolutely no reason to fight, right? But because our Earth has limits, organisms are forced to compete.
But what exactly are they fighting over out there? Take a look at these resources. Yeah, they struggle for food and water, which makes total sense. But they also fight for space, meaning territory and shelter. They struggle for places to live and build nests, and they even compete for partners to reproduce. And here's the crazy part, it's not just animals doing this. Plants are fierce competitors too. They are locked in this slow-motion, completely ruthless battle to shade each other out just to secure sunlight.
Moving on to Section 2, Intra- and Interspecific Competition. Fights within the family versus fights against totally different species.
So in nature, there are two main types of matchups. On one side, we have intraspecific competition. Intra means within, so a struggle between individuals of the exact same species. Picture two massive male deer locking antlers, or even just young birds in a single nest squawking for the same food. Because their needs are 100% identical, this competition is incredibly intense. On the other side is interspecific competition. Inter means between. This is when totally different species fight for the exact same resource. Think of lions and hyenas aggressively competing for the same prey, or even invasive weeds stealing precious nutrients away from planted crops.
All right, Section 3, forms of competition, how these battles are actually fought on the ground.
You can actually see these daily struggles happening all around us. Notice the birds swooping in, fiercely fighting over the same food sources. Below them, you've got majestic tigers roaring to defend their living space. That's a classic competition for territory. Back in the forest, trees literally race upward, trying to outgrow their neighbors and steal all the sunlight. And out in the desert, where the sun is just ruthless, plants spread their roots far and wide to absorb whatever tiny bit of scarce moisture they can find.
Which brings us to Section 4, Adaptations and Consequences, the ultimate weapons of survival.
Look, nature doesn't just sit back and accept defeat. To be more successful, some animals develop incredible, mind-blowing speed and strength. Others get really smart, building nests in super hard-to-reach places. Some even pull off the ultimate survival hack by completely shifting their schedules, literally becoming active at night just to avoid the daytime competitors. And plants adapt too, for sure. Cacti store heavy amounts of water inside their thick stems, while other plants grow these brightly colored flowers just to make sure they attract pollinators way better than the flower next door. But of course, every single battle has consequences. When organisms compete, there is a very clear step-by-step fallout. First, you usually see a decrease in the number of organisms, simply because the ecosystem just can't support everyone. Second is displacement. The losers are forced to pack up and move to other, hopefully favorable places. Third, we get division of resources, where they literally learn to share the environment in different ways. And fourth, like we just saw, it forces the constant, ongoing development of amazing new adaptations.
Section 5. The competitive exclusion principle. In this game, there really can only be one winner. So what actually happens when two species are just way too similar? Well, it leads to a pretty stark reality known as the competitive exclusion principle. Here's the deal. If two different species use exactly the same resources in the exact same environment for a really long time, they cannot coexist peacefully forever. It's just not going to happen. One of them will eventually prove to be just a tiny bit better at competing. And over time, that slight edge means the winning species will completely displace the other. A tie? Yeah, a tie is simply not allowed in nature.
Section 6. Balance in the ecosystem. Why nature actually needs all this competition.
I know all this struggling and fighting sounds kind of harsh, doesn't it? But if we zoom out to the big picture, competition actually acts as nature's automatic regulator. It regulates the number of organisms so a population doesn't just completely destroy its environment. It supports natural selection, ensuring that only the absolute strongest or smartest survive to pass on their traits, and it forces animals and plants to get super creative with how they live. Working together, these factors are exactly what keeps our ecosystems perfectly balanced.
It's a really fascinating paradox if you think about it. The very thing that causes organisms to fight against each other is exactly what links them all together. As the rule goes, all living organisms are connected with each other. Competition helps nature keep balance and stability in biocenosis.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We've seen that fierce competition creates this amazing balance in the wild. But what happens to an ecosystem when humans step in and intentionally, or maybe even accidentally, remove the competitors? If you take away a top predator or clear out a competing plant species, how does that fragile balance react? It's a super fascinating question and one that really proves just how carefully constructed our natural world truly is. Keep observing, keep asking questions, and hey, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.